Shankaracharya now answers questions on bondage, beginning with what is bondage, identifying the Atma, your true self, with Anatma, your body, mind and intellect, or the non-self, is bondage. This human body is essentially an instrument for realizing the Supreme Self, or the Param Atma. But due to utter ignorance, we remain trapped in doubts about our own true self and wander in pain and sorrow through countless incarnations. The strong identification with this fast-fading body is the wrong notion, a creation of the mind. Due to lack of discrimination, we mistake a rope to be a snake and experience fear and anxiety. When the reality of the rope is realized, fear and suffering caused by the imagined snake is removed from the deluded mind. That which truly exists is not seen, and that which is not the truth is imagined. This bondage is due to Maya, which brings forth this whole universe. The three bodies, or the five sheaths, are non-self, but this truth is veiled by Tamas and wrongly projected by Rajas, the gunas of Maya. Hence Maya is the cause of bondage. Maya is indescribable. It cannot be understood. Though we experience its effects, we are unable to comprehend it. Maya comes from Avidya and can only be transcended with knowledge of our true self as pure non-dual Brahman. This knowledge of the self is derived by discriminative analysis between the real and the unreal. Like on a cloudy day, the sun is hidden behind a layer of dark clouds, but the sun still exists and continues to shine, though it is temporarily not visible. Similarly, the Atma, our true self, is hidden behind intense ignorance. We mistake our body for the self, and trapped in this doubt, we drift in the boundless ocean of samsara, the world of relative existence, in misery and pain. This is self-created and subjects us on the long trail of births and deaths. Bondage is overcome with the firm conviction that Brahman alone is real and the rest is unreal. Jagat Mithya. Maya is Triguna, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Among them, Sattva is supreme, and then comes Rajas, which is above Tamas. Rajas is the power which projects the unreal and produces attachment and suffering. The person faces mental modifications and nurtures lust, anger, greed, ego, envy, and jealousy. Tamas is the power to veil the truth. It signifies ignorance, laziness, confusion, and dullness. Rajas and Tamas together produce bondage and incorrect judgment. Rajas, with its projecting power, portrays a new form when the real nature of an object has been veiled or covered by Tamas. The person firmly believes that I am this body or non-self. He considers Anatma to be the Atma, his true self. This disillusion and the love for duality forces him to wander in the samsara, the cause of his repeated births and deaths. Sattva, or purity, is a characteristic of a sattvic mind. A pure mind manifests properties of knowledge and bliss. Sattva is like clear water, which in communion with Rajas and Tamas drives a person to wander in pain through countless incarnations. The reality of our consciousness reflects in a pure sattvic mind, like the sun illumines the world of matter. The three gunas of Maya are present in each one of us. The extent of dominance of Rajas and Tamas varies from person to person. Here Shankara identifies three different groups. In the first group, Rajas and Tamas dominate, and Sattva is limited. Such a person nurtures negative traits or dire attributes, becomes disillusioned, finds no peace in this world, and remains caught in the cycle of rebirths. Next is the seeker, where Sattva balances Rajas and Tamas. Here the seeker has the desire to purify his mind. He is aware of the niyamas and the yamas, the do's and the don'ts, as mentioned in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The 5 do's are to nurture the virtues of purity, contentment, austerity, self-study of the scriptures, and absolute surrender to God. The don'ts are not to indulge in violence, not to lie, not to steal, to practice celibacy, and not to accumulate things beyond your needs. In the third group, Sattva dominates over Rajas and Tamas. The person manifests characteristics of devotion, faith, absence of pride, and the burning desire for liberation and divine intent to distance himself from the unreal. This pure mind displays cheerfulness, peace, contentment, fulfillment, and the experience of Atma at all times. He ultimately experiences Sat Chit Anand. One can come out of this bondage by converting the mind into a sattvic mind, which is the perfectly balanced state of the 3 gunas. Thus all efforts should be made to purify your mind, because only the person with a pure mind realizes the Supreme Self. Purification of the mind is foremost for those seeking liberation. Bondage cannot be destroyed by any other weapon but the sword of knowledge, which discriminates between the self and the non-self, the real and the unreal. We believe in what we see in the external world, which is anatma, and fail to recognize our own true self, which is enshrined within each one of us because of ignorance. He alone who discriminates between all the finite objects that give him sensual satisfaction and the indwelling, unattached, unending and unchanging self realizes his true nature, the true self. The entire universe, in its various forms, is nothing but Brahman, the same as the self-existent, eternal bliss within each one of us, our Atma. Like the clay pot example, the pot is only a modification of clay. Clay exists before the pot is made and continues to exist after the pot breaks. The pot is just the name given to that shape of clay. The essence of the pot is nothing other than clay. This delusion is removed through knowledge of the real, when we recognize the reality of Brahman, that everything in this world is nothing but Brahman, outside and inside. It is the mind alone which creates these imaginary constructs that bring about man's bondage, as also his liberation by discriminating between the self and the non-self, and renunciation of the non-self. When a person with a pure mind experiences oneness or unity with the self or the Atma, when he experiences that he is in fact the Atma alone, then can a person achieve liberation or salvation, freedom from the bondage of birth and death.